you should know where you come from or where your neighbor comes from, and you should be able to relate to them, and you should know your history of the world. It's not just history, it's your history.
The Ross School curriculum is a poetic narrative. The story unfolds as human consciousness evolves. We refer to this story as the spiral curriculum.
It's the shifts through different philosophies, different themes of a time period. These weren't restricted to just one geographic area. They went above that.
History is taught chronologically through the grades, and the curriculum provides a cohesive architecture for analyzing the past in order to understand the present and engage the future.
Last year in 4th grade, we were studying like the hunter-gatherers. Eventually, over time, they started realizing they could grow crops and domesticate animals, so they started like making civilizations like next to rivers, and a lot of people settled in the Fertile Crescent, which is a part of the Middle East that was had very fertile land.
At Ross, cultural history is the core of the curriculum and integrates all disciplines. Ross students revisit global cultures throughout the spiral curriculum. One such journey is the study of the Middle East, which they begin in grade 5 with the emergence of river civilizations and ancient Sumer. In grade 6, students learn about the migration of the Hebrews and the construction of Solomon's Temple. In grade 7, they revisit the Middle East to examine the cultural fusion of Hellenistic Greeks with Persians. In grade 8, they immerse themselves in the study of the Golden Age of Islam in the Middle Ages. In grades 11 and 12, they study 19th and 20th century colonialism and resistance, and contemporary geopolitical dynamics. The Birth of Civilization unit focuses on Mesopotamia, the land of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in what is present-day Iraq.
What does Mesopotamia mean? Yes.
It means land in between the rivers.
Students begin this unit by discussing geographic features of the Fertile Crescent.
It's a time of a shift.
And criteria for development of civilization.
What's the difference between the empire and the civilization?
They explore the existence of advanced cities, specialized workers, record keeping, complex institutions, and technology.
The workers and the farmers, they're the base of the civilization, and it couldn't work without them. How did all religions start? How does it come about, do you think?
The order that he had brought to the world.
Students are introduced to the creation story Enuma Elish, the epic hero Gilgamesh, and the myth of Inanna, the Sumerian goddess of heaven and earth.
Thus did the world begin.
They trace Inanna's path from a young girl to her maturity, from her death in the underworld.
Why are you doing this to me?
To her fertile return to Earth. In science and math, students are introduced to the base 60 system.
And that was 1.
This was
They're going to be making clay tablets.
60 was just down the 6 buttons.
They create star clocks to track the movements of the planets.
Ready? I'm going to move it by hour.
Students write cuneiform on clay tablets.
We also studied Hammurabi's Code of Laws.
And construct ziggurats.
At the winter concert, we had a Zagmuk processional, and it was like to celebrate the winter solstice, but also they were trying to bring back the light with the procession.
Students investigate agricultural techniques of the Fertile Crescent and work on a local organic farm. Community service projects engage the students both locally and globally. Fifth graders collaborate with the School of Hope, which supports the creation of schools in Afghanistan.
15. My name is Amir. I am 11.
Through Native Without a Nation, 5th graders communicate with Iraqi refugee children in Damascus.
Would you like to move back to Iraq with your family?
We can relate to them. We can feel how they feel.
We have a song to sing.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin
Everybody, ready? Yes. Okay.
When we first started the Islamic unit, I didn't really know anything about Muslims. I kind of just associated them, with the head scarf, the hijab.
I had stereotypical ideas of their culture and their people.
And I didn't realize that it was so welcoming to other religions.
The 8th grade unit, the Golden Age of Islam, explores the rise and expansion of Islamic cultures in the Middle East. Students are introduced to the refined cultural achievements of medieval Islam.
Yes, Kufic script. Earliest
Calligraphy and algebra emerge as systems of abstract notation.
There's always this idea of balance that's really strong, especially in the Muslim religion.
Students begin the unit with the exploration of pre-Islamic tribal societies of the desert, followed by the life of Muhammad, the birth of Islam, and the development of religion with Muhammad's successors.
Trace the movement of the caliphate as it makes its way eventually to Baghdad.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
They examine the origins of Sunni and Shia sects, the flourishing of Umayyad and Abbasid caliphates, and the Golden Age of Baghdad with its House of Wisdom.
It was pretty much a library based off Alexandria's library.
The intellectual aspect of the city.
All cultures. It was a mixture of Persian and Arab and Hellenic.
Al-Khwarizmi was a famous mathematician and astronomer.
They follow Islam's spread across North Africa into the Iberian Peninsula, culminating in a culture of scholarship and religious tolerance in Al-Andalus.
Sugar and rice were brought to the western part of Europe by the Muslims.
Well, the word tabby cat came from a special fabric that the Arabs brought to Europe.
They thrived, lived together in this amazing coexistence.
Students read the Quran, engage the romanticism of Arabic poetry and literature.
Everything is symbolism.
Their arabesques represent Islam's non-figural design. They rehearse Middle Eastern rhythms while learning about the instruments of Arabic cultures.
This is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, clap.
An astrolabe that was from the Islamic times. You can see it's a little bit more detailed. They would hold it up and look through it.
Perfect. Well, it really helps you understand ancient cultures and how they navigated.
A visit to the Mosque and Islamic Cultural Center of New York introduces them to the 5 pillars of Islam and the local imam.
You cannot love your neighbors unless you know them. It is very, very important for our non-Muslim friends to know Islam for the harmony that we need in our society.
Their culminating project includes a Middle Eastern banquet, and their final assignment is to research and write an historic memoir in which they assume the identity of a medieval Muslim personage.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the 4th annual Islamic banquet.
I am the 5th caliph, known as the best caliph.
My father was Zulfikar Bhutto, who was a well-known diplomat.
At age 12, I left my family to go to Baghdad.
Muslim women look up to her as a woman of
Medinat al-Salam, which means the city of peace.
Students leave this unit with a rich understanding of the history and complexity of issues surrounding medieval Islamic society and the role of contemporary Islamic society as a potent actor on the global stage.
I know, it's crazy.
It's really opened my eyes to diversity and cooperation throughout the world. I would feel confident that I could meet a person from a foreign country or anywhere and be able to relate to them.
I hope people can understand each other more. One African equals one Iraqi equals one European equals one American. I think people need to understand each other more and understand that they are humans too.